Marcy, John Education Program Director for Balanced Body. And I wanted to turn the camera around on Anna. Anna's had a really big role in our Pilates world for a really long time, a lot of really important roles. And she's spending her time asking all of us about what we're doing. I want to spend some time asking her about where she's coming from and what she's doing. So Anna, first of all, I just want you to talk a little bit about your background in Pilates and what you've done and all the roles you've played.
Wow, okay, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I first started doing Pilates in 1992 because I hurt my back in a dance rehearsal. And fortunately, my chiropractor directed me to Pilates. And I would say it saved my life. So thank God for that. But it wasn't until a few years later that I realized this is something I could learn and I could share with others. And I learned that at a time when I was a school teacher. So I am trained to educate. I was also a dancer my entire life from 3 years old. So I knew movement, I knew education, and I thought, I should teach this Pilates stuff.
Awesome.
It literally happened to me lying on South Beach, like a divine download. Like, oh, so fast forward, flew to New York City, lived in my brother's bachelor pad apartment on a twin mattress on the floor with all the dust buffaloes, not even bunnies, it was just buffaloes around me. Spent all my free time cleaning that place. But I crashed on my brother's floor for 10 months so that I could study with Romana Kuzanowska at Drago's studio, Drago's gym, as well as at the Pilates studio of New York with Bob Leekins at the time. A fantastic experience. Feel very fortunate. I was talking to Kathy Ross Nash during our interview recently, and we said, you know, that was kind of like the golden age of Pilates. Like, it was really a special time to go through that program. I feel super fortunate. I have all these interesting stories that come to mind, you know, when teaching an exercise. Oh, that reminds me that Romana or Bob told me, you know, it's really, really special. And I moved after getting certified. I moved back to where I was living, which was Miami, which I love that heat and humidity, love the tropics. And I opened a studio around the corner from Kevin Bowen, not knowing that there was a studio around the corner. Very literally around the corner, Nora. And he was so kind. This is funny because he was so kind to reach out to me and say, welcome to the neighborhood. I'd love to meet you. And came by my studio. We sat outside and chatted. And I kind of had my nose in the air because at the time that I was trained, there was a lawsuit. And I was told not to speak to certain people just because protect what you learn, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of brainwashed, as we all were. So I wasn't particularly nice to Kevin, but we made nice later, and we're totally friends now, and he's been to my house for birthday parties when I lived in Miami, et cetera, et cetera. So we're all good. But he and I had studios around the corner from each other, and when I was fortunate enough to be good at publicizing myself, I actually interviewed a publicist. No one knows this, but I still remember her. And she told me what she could do for me, and she brought a press kit example, and she showed me, you know, all these articles that her client had, and a bio and a headshot. And she said it will cost such and such a month. And I was like, thank you very much. I could do that. I literally got folders from Staples. I made a bio, I made a headshot, and there were no articles by me or about me, but there were articles about Pilates. So I got Vogue, I got, you know, Brooke Seiler on the cover of Vogue naked at Elle magazine, all this stuff, right? And put these all in a little folder and started sending them out to the media back when you mailed things. And I got so much press that I started to turn them down because I was on TV and wasn't radio, but TV and print. I don't know, like 10 times in the first year I was open. I had a waiting list. I couldn't really help people because I got too much press. Good problem. But in that, I got a feature story in a fashion magazine called Ocean Drive. And Gaiam, which at the time was not called Gaiam, but it's called Living Arts, was a catalog company with all kinds of healthy living suggestions and tips and tools, reached out to me about creating a video for them. And I actually knew them because I knew Rodney Yee and the yoga. I'd seen those videos. And they were videos, guys, VHS, you know, stick it in the machine, hope it doesn't get stuck in there. Yeah. So long story short, I ended up moving to California because I met a boy, not with him, met a boy and moved here. And then a week later, Living Arts took me to lunch and said, do you want to make this video? And so I said, okay, make a video. So I go to, the first video was shot right in Pasadena in a beautiful, I think it used to be well, it might be a historic landmark now, but it's condos now. It's called Castle Green, this nice ballroom upstairs. So the beginning video was shot there. And they're like, well, let's just shoot 2 because we're going to be here with the whole crew. So do beginning and intermediate mat. Like, okay. And people loved them because there was really nothing available. And so they sold like crazy. And I shot 5 more videos the same year. They're like, we've never shot 7 videos with one person in a year. I think we're onto something. So it got a little
Awesome.
crazy. I spent from 2000 to 2007 shooting with them, probably did about 25 titles altogether. And I've sold about 5 million to date. So
Awesome.
that's been nice. Now they're mostly on Gaia TV, or you're buying it secondhand, a DVD or something like that at this point. But it afforded me, it helped leverage me to get to a position to be a presenter. So I was able to present for many years. I got a little tired of it, but I was doing it for a good 10 years solid with, IDEA and PMA and ECA, all these different fitness organizations. But I love being with people. So I do love the feedback from the audience. I just taught a Zoom class on Sunday. And I limited it to 10 people because I said, I'm going to sit there and coach you like I would at a private Pilates studio. I would stand and teach. I wouldn't work out with you like I would on a DVD. And these people know me from DVDs. So I even told them, and prior to, I will not be doing the exercises. I will be sitting here and watching you because I want to give you an opportunity to be corrected, like in a class.
Yeah.
They loved it, Nora.
Of
They all
course.
signed up for next week. Like, they're like, this is so cool. I'm being coached versus just trying to do what I see on a screen.
Absolutely.
And for me, getting feedback is really something when you see them, the light bulb, like,
Yeah.
whoa, I get it.
Fantastic.
So that's been really fun. But I spent many years working for Peak Pilates as a master instructor. I also did sales for them, and then felt it was time to make a shift, and Balanced Body was nice enough to open their arms and say, okay, we'll figure something out. So now for 2 years, I've been in this brand ambassador role, which is really to help promote Balanced Body as a company, and Contrology, our kind of sub-brand of classical equipment, out to the world and share what we have to offer. And I really enjoy it. Normally I'm with Nora on trips to conferences and visiting studios, and so that's odd not to be doing that. But thank God for the internet. We can still do something like this. We can be on Facebook, we can be Zooming and just having a lot of fun together. So I am having more time available to interact with my colleagues through technology. So that's been kind of cool. That's really what I've done over the past 20 years, and we'll see what happens next.
And it's so unusual to have somebody like you who has such a strong background, such a strong teacher, also doing the business side. It's just an unusual role. And I just really respect everything you've done. And I've had many people come up to me and say, oh, Anna's why I got started in Pilates. And I, again, just wanted to turn that around and just really say, how valuable you've been in our community and growing this and making it happen. I mean, those Gaia videos were like, they were even before Mari, weren't they?
They were before Mari. And,
that's what I thought. They were like right at the beginning of the beginning.
They were, and what was nice about, at the time, again, everything has shifted, but at the time we had bookstores, Borders,
yes.
Noble.
Oh
yeah, and our biggest vendors for Gaia were Target, Barnes & Noble, and Borders, and Discovery Channel stores that no longer exist either. And so at retail, they were everywhere. They really were everywhere. They had a very, you could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have distribution, it doesn't matter. They had distribution. So for that, I'm very fortunate. And then Mari started with Gunthi Ranker, which is on television, selling to you. That was super successful. And a few years after that, she actually came back to Gaiam and did some stuff with Gaiam as well. So you can get Mari on Gaia TV as well. So yeah, I guess I'm a DVD pioneer, Pilates pioneer.
You are, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a big role. I mean, it's like you and Mari and a little bit Jennifer Crease too, just being out there on video really brought the name Pilates to a lot of people that hadn't ever heard of it. Yeah. I mean, I didn't meet anybody who ever knew what Pilates was until 1999. And I've been doing Pilates since 1979, actually. And it was like, oh, I almost kissed them. It's like, you've heard of what I do? Because for years you're trying to explain it, you get your hands, well, it's kind of like personal training. It's kind of like physical therapy. There's this equipment, and then they just glaze over and stop talking, right? So it was so nice to actually have somebody go, oh yeah, I've heard of Pilates. Like, oh, thank God, I love you.
Well, it's funny because when I went to get certified, mind you, I was a school teacher. My father is a PhD in education, okay? So I tell him about to stop teaching children. He's like the most noble cause in the world from his perspective, to start teaching Pilates. He's like, it sounds like a vegetable. He said that to me. What is it? It sounds like a vegetable. And I said, well, it's not, and I need $2,500 to do it. And so he gave me the money to do the course. He actually loaned me the money for the equipment also, and I could pay him back. all because he trusted me and loved me and believed in me, but really thought it was like, okay, whatever. And it wasn't until he started seeing, USA Today writing about it, the things Newsweek or whatever, the things he read, Time Magazine, that he'd start sending me in the mail, he'd photocopy the articles and mail them to me in Miami and say, look, another article on Pilates. And then he felt so like proud that, okay, he bet on the right horse, he gave me the right. Okay, she's on to something. And then when I got the DVDs, he'd be like so proud. And I'm thinking, God, he looked at me like I was crazy, but still supported me. And now he's just like, oh yeah, I helped her do this.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That support means so much, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
I love it.
I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now you've told a couple of funny stories, but do you have anything? What else don't we know about you?
So much.
So much, exactly.
I'm actually pretty much an open book. Some people watching this know this about me, and most Balanced Body does, because I think I said this when I was there one day, but when I was 12 years old, I went to live in India by myself, meaning no brothers, mom, dad, to attend a boarding school, just because I felt like it. Our friends were running the school, they were Americans, but I just really wanted a change. I never quite, I wouldn't say I didn't fit in school. I got really bored in school. I don't know, I'm a creative soul, and I would get really bored in school and wasn't the best student. So I wanted something different. This opportunity came, but I had to beg my parents to let me go. And I spent the 7th grade living in India, which had a very much big impact on who I am today and how I view the world, because I had classmates that had nothing. I still remember a girl named Reka who had a old-fashioned suitcase with the one handle, no wheels, and it was held together by a very long leather belt because the latches didn't work. And she would use it to go home at the Christmas time, winter break, and then come back, and have to take a very long train to get home, like 20 hours or something. And then I also had children there that were from Abu Dhabi and had so much money. They were like practically royalty. My boyfriend's dad was like a bigwig in Yemen Airlines at the time, the boy that I met. So it was a very interesting experience. And one of others I've traveled after that, but that was probably the most pivotal one for me.
That's amazing.
I can sing the national anthem, or most of it. I forgot some of it. And it goes on and on.
You even have the head bob.
You have to have the head bob. So
That's
not
awesome.
all of people know that about me.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was great. It's like I've known some of your story. It's just really good to have it out there, and especially since you've been supporting all of us by having all these interviews. I really wanted to get some of your story out there because it's one of the many threads that pull Pilates together and have kept Pilates growing. And I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Awesome.
See y'all later.
Bye.